If you want to get the top odds every time, bet with TopSport's Same Game Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
Welcome back to another edition of the Same Game Multi podcast. Thank you once again for joining us today. Another big episode got planned. Going to discuss the T20 World Cup Semi Finals happening over in the Middle East. Also a bit of UFC talk with Holloway versus Rodriguez this Sunday. Got plenty of other fun stuff as well. 3 of a kind, 21 and done, beer of the week, and also the debut of a new segment. So make sure you stay on side because we're about to kick off. As I welcome in to my right, Jerome Burton.
How are we, boys?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Mate, marvellous. Good to be here.
And to my left, the one and only Mr. Ches.
Afternoon.
How we pull up after the weekend, lads?
Still got the sea legs, I think. A bit wobbly.
I'm not too bad. Recovering from a bit of sleep loss. The Guru and I shared a room. We're talking nonsense until all hours of the morning. So, but good.
Good weekend was had, that's for sure. Not too many fish caught, unfortunately, but plenty of laughs, and that's the main thing.
Wasn't long enough.
No, exactly right. Could have went for another.
Not the first time you've been told that.
Exactly.
Boys, how'd we go last week with the charity bets? Anyone get anything up?
I missed out on one leg. Superstorm donkey. It's been scratched from my black book.
Gone. Cheers.
Oh, mate, yeah. I got another one up for the charity. Had Bawanga for a place. He ran a nice third position there. Had Gatchke, Vera, and Usman in the UFC just on head-to-heads, and they all got up. So cheered them home there on the Sunday. So it's a return of $173.
Tell you what, lucky we got him on board because the charities would be pretty poor if we didn't. So not much coming from the likes of Jared and myself. But there's always this week and next, as they say in the game of gambling. As I forgot to mention, like always, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you do subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as well. And, that way you get the notification whenever we drop a new episode. So always forget that. That's going to be your job next week.
Oh, well, it'll get forgotten again.
Highlights, lowlights. Gents, what was your highlight of the weekend?
I'll kick mine off. Back on the darts, as you all know, I love my darts. There was a little segment I seen on the socials there at the end of the weekend. Nathan Aspinall was walking down the street and he bumped into this kid. This kid would be probably about 8 or 10 years old. And it must be either his old man or his grandfather takes him to all the events when they're close to their, or in their hometown, close to the hometown. And Aspinall's recognised this little kid's face because he's one of the, what's the word when you go all the time?
Regulars?
Yeah, regular, like a frequent ticket holder sort of thing. So he literally had a shirt on, but been a bit cold over there this time of year, and one of those sort of puffy black jackets. Aspinall took his jacket off, took the shirt off his back, gave it to the kid, put his jacket back on. See you later, boys.
Literally gave him the shirt
Literally gave him the shirt off his back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How good's that?
Don't expect that from me.
Mate, with a body like that, you should be giving your shirt to everyone.
Keeping it on. Someone will call the cops. I don't know if I've got one, to be honest. I was
have one?
Pretty chuffed over the weekend. Something
What about
hit
your
me.
boat driving?
My boat driving. Hey, I don't know. I'll probably get. I don't know. Hopefully, there's no police listening. But
No maritime out there.
I had a little incident when I was driving the boat. Out of all the boys, too, I'm the only one that hold a boat license. But what was happening was the pressure was on from the punters club at the pub. So in one hand, I was looking at the form. In the other hand, I had a can of beer, and I gently nudged the boat into a sandbar. Was dredging for about 10 metres, turned around, and we're actually well bogged on the sandbar. So one of the blokes had to get out and push us. So
Good times.
these things happen.
I thought it was great.
It was fantastic. Boys, my highlight came in the UFC. Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. That fight was an absolute barn burner. I did mention that last week here on the show, and it lived up to everyone's expectations. The only thing that it did was it went to a decision. I couldn't believe that, but I'm glad that it did because I got 15 minutes of fantastic fight. Gaethje got the win. I picked Chandler, but Gaethje got the win, and very deservedly so. But just a fantastic contest, back and forth. Both men had their opportunities to finish the fight, but the others are just so tough. They just fought out of it. So that was my highlight of the week.
Fit as fiddles, aren't they? Those guys.
Oh, mate, I tell you, some of the shots that Chandler took.
I'm glad it was him, not me.
Any lowlights?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Now, I'm not sure the area this event occurred, or the town or city. Mr. Anthony Chock Mundine visited one of the local Bunnings warehouses. Don't know if he got sued up because there's no onions on his snags or something, but he refused to sign in. Wouldn't show his vaccination if he was vaxxed. Refused to put a mask on. Said he had some sort of exemption. I think the only exemption he has is fans at the moment. A bit of a
Might have got a bit of brain damage in this time.
Just a bit of a dog act, Current times we're in, and someone like that, everyone knows him.
But that's just who he is.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a shame. So
that's a shame because he is a good sportsman. It's just his mouth and his behaviour just lets him down.
Anything from you, mate?
I've got a little low light now for me. Not necessarily it's a low light. For those who don't know, over in England, where Liverpool are huge in Australia, they come out here all the time during their off seasons. So massive fan base. Craig Johnson, Brad Jones. There's a couple of Aussies that played for him over the years. Now this is purely for how big Liverpool is in Australia. They were 24 games unbeaten, and they lost on the weekend. So 24 games, I think I can't remember exactly the days without losing a game. So a bit of a low light there. But however, that turned that into a highlight. It was West Ham, and at the moment they're actually going pretty good. They're the only ones who are also unbeaten in England. My other low light is, boys, over in England. Whilst we're on the English Premier League, 11 games in, 3 managers are sacked already.
Sounds like the NRL.
Yeah. So Newcastle have sacked their manager. They've just been bought by a Saudi Arabian prince who's got more money than God. So watch the oil money turn them from second last where they are now to potentially up there in the 5. Tottenham sacked their coach after he played 9 matches. So that was 3 months. He won the manager of the month in one of those months and got the sack. And Manchester United have given their coach the arse now too. And boys, I tell you what, he's only a short line of others. I reckon there'll be more by the, particularly now when we start to move into the international period, is where a lot of teams will lose players. Not necessarily do they stop playing, but they may lose players for international duty. That also too, if they do stop, then they are losing players because they've got to rest them. So if they go out and play, say you're Australian, you then got to go play 2 qualifiers that are coming up next week. So you've got to play these 2 qualifiers, bang, turn around, get on an aircraft, fly from Australia back to England, which I think off the top of my head is about 22 hours, 24 hours or thereabouts. So you've got to fly that far. Then you've got to go training. So then you're then missing games in traffic time. Also, too, if you're playing 2 games in the space of 4 days, you're not going to play a game 2 days later sort of thing. So this is where managers tend to struggle because obviously their bigger players are going to miss. So, but my low light, yeah. So I'm going to go the fact that the managers over there, they just cop it. Someone's got to get it, and unfortunately it's them. So 11 games in, 3 managers already.
Yeah, she's cutthroat, that's for sure. I don't have a low light this week, boys. I've been pretty happy all week, and nothing really pissed me off, which is surprising because I'm pretty easy to piss off. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Now, did I send that little side moulding through that group chat I put on the other day? The one for 20 legs.
I did see it. Yes. You can. I'll just flick past my low light to you, mate, so you can have another one.
Just a small low light here. It's a little personal one with that 20 leg mouldy I had on the weekend. The first, I think it was like the 8th leg into it. I had 7 up, and the 8th one cost me. The Bills in the NFL losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they were paying $1.09.
Oh no.
So they're favourites to win the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure they're up there, and they got dusted by one of the big time roughies. So and the score was 9-6. So imagine sitting there for 4 hours and enduring through for that. So
I did see one of the betting agencies have actually got Tom Brady at $4.50 to win the MVP of the year already. They're only 6 games into their season?
Yeah, so started
6 games in. So I don't exactly follow American football that much, but I tell you what, that bloke's the GOAT if there is one.
Definitely.
So $4.50 already, and they're only not even a third of the way through their season.
Very good, boys. That wraps that up. Let's jump into 3 of a kind. Now, 3 of a kind this week is thanks to Mr. Cherry. He's come up with one this week. So what have you got, mate?
made a little brain explosion, brought this one upon us. I thought we'd do 3 of a kind and we'll have your ultimate fantasy matchups. So any sport, could be a team versus a team or as a player versus player. Doesn't have to necessarily be a one-on-one. So I might kick it off so we know what we're talking about here.
So like from era to era kind of
So,
thing?
yeah, so they don't be playing. So I'm going to kick mine off. And mine would be Gerwin Price versus Eric Bristow in the darts. Both very, very mouthy and lippy. But at their time, back in Bristow's time, number 1. At the moment, Gerwin Price, number 1. Both love it and both can give it. So I reckon that'd be an ultimate matchup for all the darts fans out there.
Can they both take it?
They can.
Or is someone going to be laying on their back?
No. They're both pretty good. I reckon it'll continue through the whole match too. It'd be a pleasure to watch.
Who would your pick be, mate, out of the two?
It's a bit hard. I'd say Price, at least looking at the averages. But as decades and eras have passed, averages have increased because the players have had to get better. So it's a bit hard. It's sort of like when you look back at footy, like
hard to compare.
NRL, like using the old leather ball and that sort of stuff, and those guys used to work 9 to 5, you know, and then. But I reckon Gerwin would still get him.
Very good. I might go next, and my my third ace is in the UFC, George St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva. Now, this was a big time match that a fantasy match that they kept talking about while they were both in their peak of their powers, but never eventuated, unfortunately. GSP being a 170 and Anderson Silva being a 185er, so GSP was going to go up. Didn't eventuate, but two of the best all time in their prime. Would have been great to see. And out of the two, I probably would have taken GSP, I think, in his prime. I think he would have used a lot of his wrestling and that grinding style that he had and pinned him down and beat him up. So that would have been a really good one to see.
Georgie, boys.
I'd agree with you there too, GSP.
I'm going to go over to America for this one. Now, particularly after watching a couple of docos on Michael Jordan, for example, The Last Dance.
Are you going to say Michael Jackson?
Boys, I'm going to go the late 70s. So I think it was 76 to 79 Boston Celtics, which featured the likes of Larry Bird, versus the golden era Chicago Bulls, which being, I'm going to lock in the 96 championship one, which had Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, Jordan, Pippen,
Rodman.
Dennis Rodman and that. So, boys, that's...
Horace Grant too. I think we mentioned him last week.
Grant, I think he was gone by then because that's when he had the shits.
Longley? Longley, was he still there? Or
I think he was, because he was at the back. But, so that'd be my pick. So I'm going to go the 96 Bulls versus the, I'm going to say the 76, because that's when they had the record for the most consecutive wins, Boston Celtics. So.
And who are you picking to win?
I'm going to go to Bulls.
Ooh, very good.
Quickly touch on that. I've seen Scottie Pippen's a little bit PO'd at the moment, a bit ticked off with being compared to being Jordan's mate. Apparently they weren't much of friends at all back in the days.
Yeah, right. I did see that.
Yeah, so
that was when the Last Dance doco came out. There was a little bit of talk about that.
And Pippen never received any money for being on that either. That's something else he's pissed off about. He never got paid.
For those who don't know, when you talk about Scottie Pippen chasing money, he was at the time probably in the top 3 of all time NBA players at the time. However, because his family was so poor, they could barely afford to eat. He just signed the first contract that was put in front of him, and unfortunately for him, it was a long-term deal. I think it was about a 6-year deal on basically peanuts and muesli.
Right.
I'm going to flow straight into that one and say Jordan with that Bulls side against LeBron James.
Ooh,
they always say who's the best, who's the best. There's always arguments about that. Both in their prime. I don't know. That's a tricky one.
Well,
Jordan's stats favour that, but in saying that, I think LeBron might have a bit of a few more sneakier moves and a bit more of a strategy.
I don't know about that. Jordan's way too good, I think.
Yeah, I would lean towards the Bulls because that's who I support back in the days.
Well, I'm going to answer one thing. Michael Jordan, his Space Jam is a fucking lot better than LeBron James' Space Jam.
That's what we're basing it on.
Hey, how dare they ruin a classic?
My number 2 ace, boys, is I know they didn't play in the same position, but Cameron Smith versus Joey Johns. I think it would have been great to watch those two compete against each other, probably the two greatest players that NRL has seen. And that's debatable, I know, but just the way that they both can control the game, it would have been really interesting to see who got that upper hand. The 97 or probably 97 Knights or 2001 Knights versus a 2020 Melbourne Storm or 2018 Melbourne Storm, whatever.
Imagine
it might be,
even
whatever,
their current year Australian sides versus each other with those as the captains.
Some good players back then too. So that would have been one that I would really like to have seen.
Boys, I'm going to go...
So who was your pick out of those two?
Joey, the boy. I like Joey too.
Depends on how many pingers he had the night before.
I think it was more recreational coke than anything, but hey, could be wrong. Boys, I'm gonna go to cricket with this one. This one's a little bit far fetched, but boys, as we said, it is a little bit fantasy. Now, if there was no such thing as the sandpaper game, so what they call the sandpaper gate over in South Africa, Steve Smith, if he wasn't barred for 12 months, 18 months, the where he'd be at the moment, his form, if he just kept that form cruising. Compare him. I'm not going to compare them. They're not going to play each other, but they're out there. Australia is 3 for 30. We're going to say 3 for 30. Bradman's on 1.
So Aaron Finch has opened, obviously.
No. Well, if he had they'd have been on 130. No, he would have scored 100 on his own. Mate, how dare you bring that up? We spoke about that before, and he's in fine form. So too is Mr. Warner. The boys are regular listeners. Hey, your boys got your back. Lads, I'm going to go. They're both on 1. We're 3 for 30, chasing 500 to win, and it's going to be Bradman and Steve Smith. In their prime, the best they will ever be, out in the middle, and just see how many runs they can knock up together.
Yeah, right. That's good. Nice little fantasy. Who's going to get the most?
I'm going to go... someone's phone.
That's mine.
Hey,
I never get phone calls.
there we go. I was wondering, everyone's looking around going, what the bloody hell's going on? I'm going to say myself. No. I reckon Bradman gets it.
99.99 average, apparently, if you listen to 21 done a few weeks ago.
That's a fact.
I couldn't believe that too. That was good.
Who's your number 1, mate?
This one takes me back to who I think is the most underrated heavyweight boxer of all time. That's David Tua. The guy never really got a shot at anything. I've mentioned this before. I think now that just brings back some memories. Never really got a shot at anything. He did get to fight Lennox Lewis once, but I think he was about 42, 43. Back in his prime, he was lethal. Could get a few of these details wrong in this event. He fought the European champion. I think his name was Ruiz, and he knocked him out like a minute 30 something into the first round. Just punched the absolute shit out of him. One of the biggest left hands, right uppercuts you'll ever see. Tough as nails. Him in his prime versus an in prime Iron Mike Tyson. Both had a sort of a similar style, similar build. That'd be an absolute barn burner. There'd be blood. There'd be everything. It'd be an absolute bloody... Oh.
Ears bitten off.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. Yeah, that would be a good matchup. And who you picking?
Tyson.
Oh, yep. I'm jumping back into the UFC, and a fighter that I did mention as my third, it's John Jones versus Anderson Silva. Again, another big super fight that they tease a lot and never actually got off the ground. But both these fighters in their prime... would have been sensational to watch. I was actually calling for it early in Jones's career, but yeah, Uncle Dana didn't listen. Would have been rolling in if they did. But this was back in the days when the UFC, they didn't really make the super fights. They kind of kept, to the, your weight division, and they were trying to solidify the champions and do all that kind of stuff, whereas that's gone out the window now. You're getting, two division champions and people fighting in all different weight classes. So it would have been good if these two were fighting in their prime today, because I dare say that fight would happen for sure.
Is that John Jones on steroids or non-steroids?
No steroids, but cocaine.
Oh, right.
And after a DUI. And I'll take John Jones too.
I wonder what the odds are, John Jones versus his girlfriend.
I reckon it's a felony is what it'll end up in. Boys, I'm going to answer everyone's question. This is when it comes to if you're going to match up people, I think in my eyes this is the biggest matchup of all time, boys. This is going to be Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson. Boys, I can't lean towards anyone because I don't have the faintest idea who would win. They're two different style of fighters, two different builds, both heavyweights, obviously. Tyson is quick and powerful, but Muhammad Ali's, he's sharp, moves well. Boys, I don't know if I can even split them, but boys, I reckon in my eyes, that's probably one of the biggest sporting comparison questions that you'll ever get. And the funny thing was, I actually watched something between the both of them, and at the time, Muhammad Ali was riddled with Parkinson's, and he was trying. What he was saying was Mike Tyson would beat me. Mike Tyson was saying, no, you would beat me. And basically the boys are at a stalemate and they're just talking to each other and he's just saying, we wouldn't, you'd beat me. But then he's saying, no.
Was that in the talk show back in the 90s?
It was, yeah.
I was about to mention that.
And basically, so in their eyes, whether it's, it's a bit of a pride thing, or what it is, or put egos aside, and a bit of a respect sort of thing. But yeah, I reckon in my eyes that's probably one of the biggest talked about questions of all time. If you're gonna compare some people, I reckon it's definitely Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali.
And you have a think too. So Ali versus George Foreman, one of the biggest hitters ever. Ali said to Tyson, he said, "If you hit me, you will win." Well, that's pretty much what he said. If you hit me, you'll win. He said. But you might be able to hit me, sort of thing, because of his dancing around and his style.
And he's a big boy too. He's
a tall man.
I'm not exactly sure of his height, but he'd be well over 6'5", I'd reckon. So, so too was George Foreman. He was about 7'10".
He was a monster,
and there was probably about 9 foot of fucking afro.
They reckon that Ali, when they went over to the Rumble in the Jungle to fight over there, he didn't go and watch him train like in his little gym they had there. That those real big heavy bags, they're massive. Those things. They didn't want to take Ali in there, and he didn't want to go in because Foreman was leaving dents in him.
Yeah,
that's how hard
Foreman was.
That man could hit.
I actually read something on that once about how hard Foreman was hitting the heavy bag. That after every couple of minutes, someone would have to come and hold it.
Yeah,
the thing was swinging around like you're playing a game of tetherball. Someone would have to come in, steady the bag, settle it down, bang, he'd be back.
They just had to use this tape on him too because he split the back of him out.
Yeah.
Very good. That was a good three of a kind. Thanks, Jez, for coming up with that. We've got a good one next week as well. That's our fantasy matchups. If you have one that you'd like to let us know about, get in touch with us on our socials and or our website. And we'd love to hear from you and see what other fantasy matchups there are out there. But what we're going to do now, boys, we're going to take a quick little break and we'll be back straight after this.
You can't beat TopSport's best of the best multis. Top odds are guaranteed during any Saturday Metro meeting. Plus, there's best of the best to win up to $5,000 on Saturday Metro too. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking around. Now, there's not a lot of sport to talk about this week, and so we're just going to touch a little bit on the T20 Semi Finals that are coming up. They're actually before the weekend. I think they're on Friday. So if you are watching this sort of later over the weekend, they've probably already been one and done. And also a little bit of UFC there as well on Sunday. But first, boys, let's jump into the T20 Semi Finals. We're down to 4 teams. India are gone. We've got England, Pakistan, Australia and New Zealand left. The Aussies are playing Pakistan about 1 a.m. on Friday morning, I think it is. And we're actually the outsiders. We're paying $2 there. The Pakis are the favourite at $1.85. And then England are playing New Zealand. Now, England are short price favourites there. They're $1.56. New Zealand are $2.50 outsiders. Boys, how do you see these ones playing out and who do you think will be playing in the final?
I'll tell you what, boys, I'd love to go and watch the New Zealand-England game, particularly after the one-day World Cup. When, in my eyes, I think New Zealand were very hard done by. And in any case, there was a little controversy. Off the top of my head, I can't exactly remember what it was. We spoke about it at work today. So basically went to the Super Over. The Super Over was tied. Now, they went a count back on boundaries. England won for hitting the most boundaries. However, there was one, and they won by one boundary. Now, when they went back through the replay, they basically, I can't exactly remember who it was. I think it might have been, we'll say Kane Williamson because he's their top dog. So Kane Williams he's lent on one, and it's basically trickled its way to the boundary, and someone slid, dived, hit the ball back in, but whilst he hit the ball back in, his foot was touching the boundary rope. So
Yeah, I do
technically,
remember that.
that's 4.
Yeah.
However, the umpires didn't check it. Blah blah blah. When they went through, about 3 overs later, they checked it. By then it was too late, boys. They went through a count back. That would have been drawn again. So then what happens? But then again, I think they go to a flip of the coin.
True.
So imagine losing, saying, "Oh, heads." Imagine being the person who's got to call it, and it's a World Cup's on the line. So, boys,
Surely
I tell
they
you
do
what,
like a count back of how many sixes they hit, or
we'll just go another over. Just keep going overs
they
until
should.
someone loses.
Yeah, or drop a man off like they do in touch footy.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but boys, nonetheless, I think the Australian game will be really good too.
Should be a good game. 1 a.m. Friday morning though. That's a bit rough.
Yeah, your boy not real keen on
when
that.
you've got a hard job like me, you got to get up early and go to work. It's going to be really hard to stay up and watch that. Let me tell you.
I bet you. But boys, technically, Pakistan are well higher than us on the world rankings. But I'd say form-wise in the competition at the moment, Australia are well in the best form.
We're coming good at the right time. We sort of start off a bit slow against South Africa. Only just got the win there, and we're kind of just steadily building, which has been good. I ripped him the other week, but Finch has pulled his finger out, and he's in good form, as to his Warner, which is really good.
That's because they're listeners of the show,
I
mate.
know, and get amongst it. It's a fantastic show, so why wouldn't they be listening? Our bowlers going well as well.
The Joshy Hazelwood,
Oh, how good is he?
the Bendermere bomber. Imagine him diving through a couple of bindies down there.
We were only talking about him on the weekend, weren't we? We were watching him. I can imagine facing him in high school.
And considering his first over went for 19, and then he goes and takes 4 for 29.
That's pretty good. 4 for 10.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Chaz?
Mate, there is one guarantee, and that's I won't be disappointed on the Bangladesh-Scotland outcome again.
I'd seen Scotland got rolled for under 100 again. It was in the last round of games. They're struggling.
Mate, the wallet was itching on that one. But I'll be rolling with the Aussies. Stick with the boys there. I reckon they'll do them. And backed them at the start. England in that other game.
Yeah, that's who I'm calling as well. Hopefully the Aussies can get the win over the Packies and we can make it to the grand final. I still do have a bet on from about 5 weeks ago, boys, for England to win the whole thing at $4. They're now paying, I think, $2.70 thanks to TopSport. So they've come in quite a bit. So hopefully they will. Don't want them to beat Australia, but when you got a bit of money on it, you kind of bet with your back pocket. But again, all the money's going to charities, so that's the only reason why.
Boys, I'm going to go an all Anzac final. I'm going to go
New Zealand. That'd be good.
I'm going
that
the
would be
Anzac
good.
final. I am.
We'd be heavy favourites going into that. Would you think, if that was the case, or
Yeah, I don't know. Depends
or
on.
would New Zealand be favourites because they beat England?
You'd imagine it would be. So I'm going to go the Anzac final. It's going to go Australia, New Zealand. So
Very good. All right, let's touch on the UFC. So we've got a featherweight fight. We've got Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. Now, this one should be a good fight. This is the number 1 ranked fighter versus number 3 ranked fighter. But get this, boys. Holloway is paying $1.14. Rodriguez, $5.80. As I just mentioned, 1v3. And, a $5.80 outsider. That's phenomenal. Both good fighters. Max Holloway, a lot more experience than Rodriguez. I'll give him that. But it's, we speak about UFC all the time, not so much in the featherweight division, but it only takes one punch, and the fight can turn on its head like that. So if you do like a bit of value, $5.80 for Rodriguez, get amongst it, I reckon.
What's his first name? Yeah.
Yeah, like the hair. Yair, I think. Yair.
Okay, pronounce that.
Rodriguez.
how good's that, boys? I'm going to stick with Max Holloway there. I think Max Holloway will be way too good, and I think the punters and the bookies have got the market right.
Holloway, sorry.
He's almost due for another crack at the title.
Well, I'm just looking at his record here. He's lost 3 of his last 5 fights, but let me tell you who he fought. He lost to Dustin Poirier. He beat Frankie Edgar, and he's lost twice to Alex Volkanovski, and his previous winner was against Kelvin Cater, and that was back in January this year. So he's 2-3 from his last 5. That's probably his worst career statistics.
Now
that's Holloway.
One of those losses to the Vol, the Aussie Vol, that was for the title too, was it?
They both were. Both
So,
were. And both decisions.
Both decisions, yeah.
And both very close fights. So I'm not saying he's lost it or anything. They were both. The first one was really super close. A lot of people thought Holloway won. Second was a bit more decisive for Volkanovski. But he's going in with a bit of a mixed record at the moment as well. So
Having said that, speaking of that little form, he might be in a little slump too.
Could be. And just looking at Rodriguez's last 5 fights, he's fought Jeremy Stevens twice. One was a no contest. It was an eye poke, I think. But he did win his last fight against him. The Korean Zombie, he beat him as well with the TKO with 1 second to go in the 5th round. And lost to Frankie Edgar and beat BJ Penn. But BJ Penn at the time was probably very much on a downward spiral there. So it's going to be probably, I think it might be a little bit closer than what the guys at TopSport have marketed it. But $5.80, that's not a bad price.
Anything's possible.
Lazy $10 bonus bet. You know where to put it.
Anything's possible, as we've seen with the NFL. I think it's dirty, mate. Yeah, that was a $1,000 return again off $10.
Oh wow,
that screwed me.
One leg.
I might go the roughy here. I think you know what I'm like with my bets.
Likes to put him in the malt, get that up. So going Rodriguez.
I'll pick him. I'm not going to put him in the mouldy. I've got my mouldy set up already, but
I'm going Holloway.
Yeah, I'm going to go Holloway. Like I said, I think the bookies have got that right, and so too the punters.
And also, boys, let's just touch back on the Bathurst 1000. As I mentioned last week, TopSport have just been announced as a major betting agency sponsor of Bathurst 1000. So you'll see a lot of branding of theirs around the track in a couple of weeks' time when that kicks off. But the market's out as well now. So just looking at the market, boys, we've got Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander, $4.20 favourite to take out the big race. That's into Will Davison and Alex Davison, and that's $6. And then Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes, and that team's won it quite a few times, $6.50 there. So the market's up on TopSport. So if you do want to get on board while the prices are quite high, make sure you click the link in the description, open up a TopSport account using our SGM podcast code word, and you'll find all the markets over there as well.
Boys, for years and years, I've sort of stuck with Garth Tander. I love Garth Tander. He's a super honest driver. So too, I was a massive Greg Murphy fan for years and years. I love Murphy, Scaife, but he's probably one of my favourite of all time. Having said that, the third line of betting is Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes. Boys, what a duo that is.
$6.50.
Lads, that's 2 in the top 3 are Red Bull Racing.
Yeah.
So that just shows you, obviously they got more money, that's something that thrives off money. I did read an article once, this is probably about 5 years ago, no change out of $1 million for one car. So that adds up for Red Bull Racing. I think they've got three stations in their regular racing. So, boys, having said that, I don't want to get into it because I don't know 100% on it. Do you think this is a little bit like Formula One? So Formula One, you've got your number one driver. So say if there's a situation comes through, I've seen it happen before in Formula One. Say we'll use McLaren for example. So McLaren are say 3 and 5, but their unfavoured driver is 3 and their favoured driver is 5. I've seen them sometimes they'll hold the pit lane until he goes in, so their lead driver, their number one driver, pits before to work that out. Do you think there's a little bit of that could happen with Red Bull? So Shane Van Gisbergen's obviously the number one driver, the young Kiwi, and has been for a long time. Obviously, Jamie Whincup's sort of on the backside of his career. Craig Lowndes has been retired for numerous years. However, he comes back for obviously the Enduros, your Sandowns, your Bathurst, and your Gold Coast races. Boys, I don't like seeing it, obviously. I can't stand Formula One. It's rubbish. But that happens a lot over there. So basically, they'll favour their number one drivers, and in that case, pit priorities and stuff like that go to their number one drivers, which is...
Yeah, I'd hope not.
Hopefully we don't see.
And I hope the Bathurst, in itself has that, esteem of winning where people wouldn't do that. They'd rather, win than let someone go in front for championship points. You'd like to think that, whether it is or not, you'll never know, I suppose. But there's a chance. But just looking through the market, just going down a bit, boys, Mark Winterbottom and Michael Caruso, $26. There's some good drivers amongst those two, let me tell you. So plenty of laps around Bathurst, plenty of experience. So, like I said, if you do want to have an early bet on the Bathurst, make sure you get over to TopSport and check out the markets. All right, let's
What
jump
was
into...
Sorry, what was the top partnership again? The favourites?
Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander, $4.20.
So that Van Gisbergen, he was paying $1 or something to win the V8.
To take out the championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
$4, eh?
$4.20, yeah.
That sounds tasty.
It does. All right, charity bets, boys. You can kick us off, Mr. Cherry, seeing you got the Bickies last week.
All right. So I'm going to roll in a little three-legger here. Australia to beat the Packies. And then Melbourne City to beat Brisbane Raw. And then flick over to boxing. I got a little Mexican junior middleweight boxer here, Jamie Munguia. Those of you who don't know,
is it?
Jamie Munguia.
How do you spell it?
I've got it written down here, Munguia. I thought I better write that one down. For those of you that don't know him, he was actually the belt holder through 2018 and 19. He's been ranked the best active junior middleweight by BoxRec, 5th by the Ring magazine, and 7th by Transitional Boxing Rankings Board. So very talented with his hands. $1.16. He's paying there just for head-to-head. So all up that is paying, I'm pretty sure it was $3.41 through TopSport.
Very good. So a little three-legger.
Yeah, just those three legs.
Yeah, very nice. I'll go next, boys. I've got a three-leg as well. Just about everything we spoke about on the show today. Max Holloway, head-to-head. England to beat New Zealand and Australia to beat Pakistan in the T20 World Cup. That one's paying $3.52. So I have a nice little return. I'm going to put the whole 50 on that as well.
Yeah, boys, I slipped over to TopSport, crunched a few numbers. Lads, I'm going to go Australia to beat Saudi Arabia in the World Cup qualifier. Off the top of my head, that's Monday night. Boys, I'm also going to go the All Aussie affair here. I'm going to have Australia to beat Pakistan. So, boys, they're $2 off the top of my head. So, lads, $4 combined.
That's nice.
I'm going to have the big 5-0.
Straight on it, squarely on it. Beautiful.
Straight on the old smooch machine.
Well, hopefully we can get a bit more money in the charity account for our charities. It's building nicely, thanks to the man on the left.
Someone has to.
We've got to contribute
I'm
a bit,
still
mate.
on the duck egg.
Otherwise, I'll be gifting my $50 to Ches to bet with. So, boys, I've got a new little segment now. I just thought of this today. Obviously, there's not a lot of sport to talk about over this weekend, so I thought we'd fill out the show with another little bit of game. This one's called Start, Bench, Cut. Now, what it is, I'm going to propose you're the coach of a certain team. I'm going to give you 3 players. You've got to start one player, you've got to bench one player, and you've got to cut one player. So it sounds easy, but wait till you hear the players and see what you think. All right, I'm going to start with Jared. So, Jared, you're Craig Bellamy in charge of the Melbourne Storm. Which player do you start, which player do you bench, and which player do you cut? Brendan Smith, Ryan Pappenhausen, Cameron Munster.
I'm going to cut George Jennings. Righto. I'm going to bench the Cheese, start the Pap, and Munster's going to play Rezzies.
Oh, Munster, the key playmaker.
Yeah, fuck him.
I would have done the same as you, but I would have flipped bench for starting.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, Ches, you're the new coach at South. Wayne Bennett's left. Demetrio's gone. You're in.
That was always on the cards, mate.
Which player would you start? Which player would you bench? And which player would you cut? Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, Cameron Murray.
You don't want to make it easy.
How hard is it?
Start Cody Walker, bench Murray, Latrell cut.
That was easy.
Oh, ruthless.
That's what I'm going there, boys.
I might get you to explain your
Reasoning.
thought process. I will from now on. We'll let those first 2 slide soon. We're just getting into it. All right.
Cody Walker, gun player. Cam Murray, he's Cam Murray,
Yeah.
absolute weapon. And Latrell, hot and cold, so that's why.
That's fair. All right, J-Rod, fantasy job of yours, mate. Brad Arthur, he's gone.
Oh.
You're in.
I'm in.
Who would you start? Who would you bench? Who would you cut? Mitch Moses, Junior Paulo, Reed Marnie.
Stubby.
Jesus. Yeah, this one's difficult. Boys, I'm gonna
Quick kickoffs in 5 minutes.
bench Reed Marnie. I'm gonna start Junior.
Moses, your playmaker's gone.
Moses is
What are you
gone,
doing? Who's gonna feed the scrum?
Me.
You see Reed Marnie was seen having coffee with the
Having Chinese with the Bulldogs.
Chinese, was it? What was the coffee?
That's Chinese.
Well,
Even that's even worse.
pop up here the Manhing brother if you in the
Reason?
market.
Any reason?
Reed Marnie, his creativity is phenomenal from dummy half, and worst case scenario can slip in. The only thing. Junior Paulo's impact, his minutes, he plays big minutes and offers a lot of offload. And Mitchell Moses, someone just had to get the cut.
All right, Ches. Robbo's blown the whistle on Uncle Nick's paper bag payments, so he's gone. You're in, Roosters coach. Which player do you start? Which player do you bench? Which player do you cut? Joey Manu, Luke Keary, James Tedesco. Not so easy, is it?
Fuck.
Where's the crickets for him?
Start Joey Manu, bench Keary, cut Tedesco.
The best fullback in the world. Wowzers.
Give some reasoning.
Well, Tedesco's getting towards the end of his career. Let these young fellas come through.
Let the new shoots blossom.
Keary's coming back off that big injury, so he'll be benched.
What was that? Was that?
And then
ACL?
Yeah.
And then Joey Manu, freak. I think he has signed with the Chooks too.
Going to the
Pretty sure he
Warriors.
signed 2 years.
Joey, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Breaking news again on the podcast. J-Rod, last one for you. Freddie has lost 3 Origin series in a row. You're now the New South Wales Blues coach. Which player do you start? Which player do you bench? Which player do you cut? Turbo, Cam Murray, Isaiah Yeo.
Isaiah Yeo can get fucked.
Quick.
He's going.
What about the
Excuse my
creativity
French.
through the middle?
No.
Lincoln with the Penrith boys.
No.
Cleary.
Well, Jerome Luai.
Coruscant.
If I was there,
Luai.
Jerome Luai wouldn't have a job.
All right. Who are you
Happy
starting?
Coruscant.
Who are you starting?
So, sorry, who was it again?
Turbo or Cam Murray?
Well, Cam Murray will start from the bench. Turbo will start at in the centres there.
Fair enough. Very good. And last one for you, Mr. Cherry. Billy Slater has decided the Queensland job is too hard. He's gone. He's back riding track work. Which player do you start? Which player do you bench? Which player do you cut? Kalen Ponga, Harry Grant, Josh Papali'i. Probably a bit easier given we're New South Welshmen and not Queenslanders, but still some quality players.
Just sack them all.
All three. All three cut.
Start Papali'i.
Yep.
Oh, that's tough. You'd nearly have to go Kalen Ponga bench.
And getting rid of Harry Grant.
Yeah, but see, that's hard. I want to swap that out. Actually, I'll swap that.
Swap it around, okay.
I'll swap that. So we'll cut Pong.
Ponga's
Ponga,
gone.
bench Grant, Papali'i running on.
Wow. That was it, boys. That was a new segment. Start, bench, cut. What do you think?
That's difficult.
Just let the
Hard,
Roosters
isn't
out
it?
of it next week, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll see if we got. I'll see if I come up with any new teams for next week. But again, if we'd like to hear from you, let us know which players you'd start, bench, and cut.
Shoot, shag, or marry.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it is. So I like that. I enjoy that. So
difficult.
tough decisions.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another quick little break, and we'll be back with 21 done, beer of the week, and a wrap up after this.
Another half win. From punters jumping in early or waiting too late. You get a good price on one leg, but the others have shortened dramatically. You still win, but it feels like you half win. Introducing TopSport's Best of the Best Multi. Get top odds on every leg, every time. Don't be one of these. Just bet and forget Bob Multi. TopSport. Feel the excitement.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
All right, we're back. Thank you for sticking around. We're going to jump straight into 21 and done. 21 trivia questions. We're going to pit the boys against each other. Let's just check your buzzer, please, Jared.
Bertman.
Ches.
Very
good, working fine. Now, I say this every week, but we're starting off with 2 very easy ones, so make sure you get on your buzzer straight away. What is the name of Tim Zoo's father?
Ches.
Bertman.
Koshasu.
Costa.
Don't spell it, do I? That's hard.
Nice and easy. In basketball, how many points is a free throw worth?
Ches. 1.
2 easy ones. Going to get a little bit harder. Born on the 6th of February 1895 and passing away on 16th of August 1948 is famous baseball player Babe who?
Ches. No, you got him. Ruth.
Hey, Bruce.
We're with the New York Yankees. I don't know that from Seinfeld.
The great
Teach yourself that.
Bambino.
All right, here's one for you. J-Rod, ready? What sport does Ariane Titmus represent Australia for?
Bertman. Swimming.
Swimming is correct. On the board.
What's the last name?
Titmus.
Titmus. That's the coach did the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
In the
that's
grand.
it.
Oh, yep.
3v1. Name me two teams that NBA superstar LeBron James has played for.
Ches. They play for the Washington Wizards.
You can't answer with a
Sorry,
question.
no, Washington Wizards.
It's rhetorical. Well, it's definitely the Lakers.
Yes, that's one.
I'll give you the other one.
You got to share the points.
No, I'll give it to him.
Oh.
I'm going to say
The Cleveland Cavs, wasn't it?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
And the Miami Heat.
was gonna say-
he played for the Cavs twice, but yeah. Points to Jared. 3 plays 2. What is former Aussie fast bowler Brett Lee's nickname?
Bertman. Binger.
Binger. I was hoping for a clue. Going to be starting with a P. Pinger. Which vegetable is used to refer a deformity of the ear?
Ches, cauliflower.
Cauliflower ears. Very good.
I was getting the recipes in.
The old chef coming out. Multiple choice. How many players is a water polo team allowed to have in the water? Is it A7, B6, or C5?
Bertman. I'm going to say 5.
I'm going to say you're wrong.
6.
I'm going to say you're wrong too.
7.
7 is correct.
Hey, I was trying to think.
A 2-2-2 and a goalie, is it?
Must be.
Is that 4 apiece, or have I stuffed the scoring up?
I think it was 6-4, wasn't it?
Ches should be up because of the
I think
cauliflower.
it's 5-3.
Yeah, 5-3.
5-3. All right.
That's just how honest I am.
Larry Bird played for which NBA team?
Oh, fucking I said this earlier.
I know. I was only thinking of
Boston
it.
Celtics.
Celtics is correct. 6 plays 3. Which division did former UFC fighter Junior Dos Santos
Ches.
fight in?
Light heavyweight.
Ooh, incorrect.
I'm going to say strawweight. Nah. Heavyweight.
Heavyweight is correct. All right. So we've got 4 plays 6. Lance Buddy Franklin plays for which AFL
Bertman.
team?
The Swannies.
Swans, 5 plays 6. Who will Paul Gallen fight on December 10th?
Oh, fuck.
Smart chat. Think of a like mayonnaise kind of sauce.
Ches. Manly player Josh.
LIA.
Yeah, half a point each? Or
Give it a Ches.
Okay.
Give it a Ches.
Rightio. I've done that one.
Aioli.
Usain Bolt. Let me start again. Usain Bolt played for which A-League
Bertman,
team?
the Central Coast Mariners.
Correct.
I don't know about Belt. I know.
Fuck off. Another multiple choice question. How heavy is an Olympic shot put? Is it A, 16 pounds, B, 14 pounds, or C, 12 pounds?
Bertman, 12. Well, it was when I was at school.
It's 2.2 pounds to a kilo. 16,
There you
8,
go.
7 kilos.
Carry
What
the
was
one.
What was the second one? 14?
14.
We'll go 14.
Hey, I'm going to go 16.
16, 7
that about?
apiece. 7.26 kilograms.
That's a fair lug.
Fucking oath, and they throw it a fair way too. How many grand finals has Cooper Cronk played in? 6 apiece, boys.
Ches.
7 apiece, boys. I'm sorry.
5.
More.
Because he played 1 at the Roosters, and I think he's played 5 for Melbourne. So I'm going to say 6.
More.
Ches, 8. Go in the guts.
More.
Oh, really?
What? 10.
Less.
Ches, 9.
9. How many premierships has he won legitimately?
Bertman, 5.
4.
4 is correct. 2 for Melbourne, 2002, 2017, and 2 for the Roosters, 18 and 19. So each won 3 in a row. Pretty crazy. Titleist is commonly associated
Ches.
with which sport?
Golf.
Golf. 9 plays 7.
I'm getting beaten on the buzz.
Borrow my buzzer if you want. Works well. Multiple choice again. Who holds the record for most runs in test matches? Is it A, Ricky Ponting, B, Jacques Kallis, or C, Sachin Tendulkar?
Batman Tendulkar.
Tendulkar is correct.
By a country mile too, yeah?
By about 2,000, yeah. So he's got 15,921. Ricky Ponting second with 13,378, so about 2,600 more. He played, this is Tendulkar, played 200 matches, 329 innings for an average of 53.78.
Crazy.
Speaking of Ricky Ponting and Titleist, he's a pretty handy golfer too.
He
He
is.
plays off scratch or something. He does. He's a
Very good
bit of a
golfer.
weapon.
I'll tell you one thing, he's a very good punter as well. That's how we got the nickname, yeah. He owns a few horses, him and the War Brothers.
In 2007, which company did the UFC purchase for a reported $65 million? Another fighting organisation.
Ches. Wasn't Pride, was it?
Again, with the question. Is
Pride.
that your answer?
That's how I talk.
Prize correct.
That's my lingo.
10 plays 8. Couple of questions to go. What sport would you be playing if you were penalised for roughing the passer?
Ches. NFL.
NFL, gosh. All right, we've got 11 v8, so this question's worth 4 points. Anyone can win. It's closest to, again.
Trying to say I only got that from John Madden on the Nintendo 64 years ago. Mate.
So you both get a chance. Your destiny's in your own hands. Closest to. How much prize money did Winks win in her career? Now, I'm going to give you a little bracket. It's between 18 and 30 million. Closest to. Ches can go first. None of this $1
Ches,
extra shit.
26,400,000.
J-Rod.
You know what we should do? We should actually write them down, and then everyone do it that way. That's the closest twos.
That's what I'm doing.
No. But
Oh,
write it
okay.
down at the
Oh,
same
like
time.
it's so silent.
Yeah. And then
Okay. I'll do that next week.
I'm going to go
28,000.
28,000. No, I'm going to go 24 million.
24 million even.
Yep. Or closest to.
She won 23,421,176. So the points are going to J-Rod. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. A victory again for the Burtman.
Oh, that's robbery.
Now, you get this, boys. She was purchased for $230,000. Not a bad return on investment there. So
Very good.
Points go to J-Rod with that last question. They're worth a lot of points, those last questions. So
I think 1 week was worth 7.
yeah. Well, you started 63 points ahead from last week anyway. So
Well, that's a fact. Do you remember that time, Ches? I was up 7-0 and you come back and done me.
yeah.
I'm known for a comeback every now and again.
Yeah, coming on.
Very good, boys.
Yes.
We'll stop it right there. That was the end of 21 and done for this week. Hopefully you're playing along at home and maybe got the questions a bit quicker than the boys did up here on the panel. Let's jump into beer of the week, boys. Thanks to the White Bull Hotel. As always, great sponsors of the show. Get on down there if you are in the local area. See Hawkeye and the crew. And they'll fix you up with some nice cold beverages on these warm, muggy days that we're having here.
It's horrible today, isn't it?
Not wrong. What they got you today, boys?
5.
5 straight
Five
off.
straight up. You have a little read, Ches. I'll tell you why.
Hawkeye's outdone himself again. I've got the Coors Crisp Refreshing Lager. Born in the Rockies, so Rocky Mountains over in the United States. 330ml bottles, 4.2 percenters, low carb as well. Very, very enjoyable, I tell you. Shame I had to drive later. I'll knock a few more over. Mate, these are good. They're super crisp. I mentioned them earlier. I can't remember who he fought. Could have been Frank Mir. Brock Lesnar had some sponsorship issues years ago. Bud Light refused to sponsor him or backed out of the deal. So he was picked up by Coors Light, and was pretty proud in telling the audience after the fight had finished who his new sponsor was. So look that up on YouTube as well. It's pretty funny. Can't fault this at all. Is it a 5? Is it a 4.5? That's the question.
You can only answer it, mate.
I can't fault it, so I've got to give it 5.
Oh, highest stubby rating of the year, I believe, boys. 5 apiece.
That's about 1,000 in my eyes. I was watching Smokey and the Bandit one day. Now,
Yeah.
because when they're bootlegging, they're running 200 cases of Coors Light. That's what they call it, Coors Light.
Light over there just means low carb.
Yeah, so basically I went down to the bottle, got myself a 6-pack of this, cracked the first one, only because I seen it on Smoking the Bandit, and it is well good. And even before the 10-pack of Carlton Dries come out, they actually have a 10-pack of cans.
Yeah, right.
And I walked into Murphy's one day and, I was going to a barbecue. Didn't want to be that idiot that sits in the corner and just gets rotten. So I was like, that's the 10-pack of these. Beautiful. No worries. This is well easy drinking. This is I'm going to give it a 6. This is getting a bonus.
6.
It's getting a bonus.
Add one to the graphic.
No, so this is getting a bonus point this week, people. If you're a beer drinker, this is what you want to go and get. Just have a taste of some American brew.
Fantastic.
I tell you what, it knocks the socks off Budweiser's.
100%. This is well easy drinking.
I think Hawkeye will be hooking us up with some Budweisers next week after that comment.
Couple of vomit bags too, mate.
Anything else, boys, before we wrap her up?
Speaking of Budweiser, after soccer, we generally knock a couple of them back. It's just become a bit of a tradition. It's brewed with rice. So, brewed with rice. It's weird.
Odd.
Like rotten potatoes is how they make bourbon and stuff like that.
Sour mash, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. But brewed with rice. And it must be a Japanese rice beer or something.
Snap, crackle, and Budweiser.
Like some go-kart. What is it?
Rice bubbles.
Oh, yeah, rice bubbles.
Anything else, boys?
Don't think
Going
so.
once, going twice.
I'm still dirty on that mouldy. I just can't.
We better go so you can have some tablets and calm your shit down. As I mentioned off the top, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you do subscribe. Follow all our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram. What else are we on? TikTok.
RedTube.
Yes, that's a good one. Mum's a big follower of that. If you are listening to us via audio, again, you can subscribe there as well. Make sure you get those notifications whenever a new episode drops. Head on over to our website, become an SGM Club member. As I mentioned, we've got some exclusive stuff coming up just for our club members, with maybe a little BBL tipping comp in the next few weeks. I think it kicks off the start of December, so really excited about that, but only for SGM Club members. If you watch the show and you're not a club member, get on over and sign up. It's free, and we're not going to bug the shit out of your emails. It's just that we want people that like the show to have exclusive access to all these kind of stuff moving forward. So make sure you get on over and become an SGM Club member.
Cash money prizes, boys.
Cash money, that's what we're all about here. Ain't no taxman chasing you then. That's it. Until next week, make sure you stay on side and don't eat your soup with a fork.